Hello everyone, welcome to the very first episode of Dave Does Math from Home. This particular episode is not going to involve Dave doing any math. This is just the introduction episode where I sort of welcome you to the semester. Sorry, I should say first episode of Dave Does Math from Home of the 2021 spring semester. It's spring now. It's January. 2021 spring semester. This is where we begin. There's no math in this one. This is just an introduction. I'm going to talk about what the class is going to be like, what you can expect, what I expect of you, so that everyone is on the same page moving into this and going forward. So listen very closely. There's going to be a lot of important information here. The first thing I want to talk about is what the class itself is going to look like. The class itself is basically going to have two different pieces. One of the pieces is going to be YouTube videos like this one that I will record of myself standing in front of a whiteboard doing math. That's Dave Does Math from Home. This is how we do it. So I'm going to record these videos. I will upload them to YouTube. I will expect you to watch them. That's where most of the lesson, the lecture, the instruction is going to come from. So watch the videos, take really good notes about those videos, and ask me questions if you have them. The other part of class is going to be our online meetings. The schedule that you have has meeting times for us each week. I'm teaching 4 different classes this semester, so I think algebra meets on Thursdays around noon, and I think pre-calculus meets on Fridays in the morning, and Calc 1 might be the Tuesday, Wednesday guy. And Calc 2, I think, is the Monday, Wednesday. So lots of different classes all over the place. Those meeting times are when we will have, they're not exactly Zoom meetings. They're like Zoom meetings. It's a slightly different service. It's called Big Blue Button. It is provided through the Canvas sort of learning platform, but we will be meeting at those times doing the Zoom meeting, essentially. We'll have an online conference call. That's what it's called. We'll do a conference call at those times so that we can all talk about things together. I'm not going to require you to have your mic on or your video on during those meetings. I am going to be taking attendance to see who shows up to those meetings. And attendance is going to be a big part of your grade. So I'm expecting you to be there and be participating. I just don't need that participation to involve a mic or a video. I know that not everyone has like a private space in their home where they can sit quietly and engage with math. So if you're joining this video conference from a living room where there are a bunch of small children and a dog and you don't want to get your video and your mic involved with that, that's fine. I'm not fussed about it. If you do want to turn your video or mic on, you are of course welcome to. That sounds great. But you can type things to me. I will have my mic and video on. I will be broadcasting this. It'll be just like this. I'll be standing in front of this whiteboard. I'll be broadcasting all of this to the conference, and those periods are going to be our opportunity to ask questions, deal with very difficult or complex problems from the homework. So that's going to be the focus of those. Let's talk about homework for a little bit, and then we'll come back to what's going to happen in these conferences. The homework for these courses is all online. It's through a system called Pearson's My Lab and Mastering, which used to be called My Math Lab, and I got very used to it being called My Math Lab, and I still usually call it My Math Lab. So if you hear me say My Math Lab, I mean My Lab and Mastering. All the homework is through that system. I have been experimenting lately with not really doing due dates, and I want to keep that experiment going. We experimented last semester with this in my Calc 1, Calc 2, Calc 3 courses, and I think it went really well for most people, where at the beginning of the semester, I just opened up all of the homeworks for the entire semester and set them all to be due at the end of the semester, so that if you wanted to work ahead and like get some things taken care of before they were due, that was great. If you fell behind a little bit, something came up, you didn't have to worry about emailing me or getting in touch with me to get more time. You just had the extra time to catch up later. The potential drawback here that a couple students fell into last semester is they sort of tricked themselves into thinking that they didn't really need to do the homework. They didn't need to keep up on the homework. They still had months to do it all. And so they put it all off till the end. And those kids failed. Don't do that. That's not going to work for you. Don't assume that since everything is due at the end of the semester, you can do it all at the end of the semester. You won't. This homework pack, this is like 60 or 70 hours of homework at minimum. It's not something that you can just hammer away in a weekend at the end of the semester. Also, throughout the semester, we're going to be taking a lot of tests. I tried to say quizzes and tests at the same time. We're going to be taking a lot of tests and quizzes throughout the semester. I'm not setting due dates on the homework, but there are specific times where I'm unofficially expecting you to have it finished so that you can understand what's going on the quiz. So we're going to start the quizzes very early in the semester. And once those quizzes start, like when we take a quiz at the end of next week, the week after, I will expect you to have finished the homework the homework covering the same material the quiz covers. So if you walk into these quizzes without ever having looked at the homework, you're going to do really poorly on the quizzes. A couple kids tried that last semester too. They failed. Don't do that. Those are the two potential problems we can have with this I'm not worried about due dates system that we're experimenting with. Don't do either of those things. Students have tried that before. It didn't work. Trust me. Do the homework at your own pace, but make sure that it's getting done at a reasonable pace. Don't put it all off. Don't try to take tests and quizzes without having looked at it. That will end poorly. We've tried that. Trust me. So aside from that, I think that having this homework be due at the end of the semester, letting you work on it when you have the time and not trying to micromanage the due dates, I think as long as students aren't falling into those two problems, it worked really well. So we're going to try this again. Let me know what you think of that if you have a problem with that. All of this is negotiable to some extent. So that's homework. Let's also talk about tests and quizzes. We are going to have quizzes very often. Quizzes is how I get a sense for how the students are doing throughout the class. Hold on one second. This is Harley. She wants to say hello. She's trying to stick her paw under the door to this room, even though she's not allowed in this room. Get a good look, Harley. You're going right back out. Harley, everyone, Harley. Good. Well met. Okay, so we're going to do quizzes very frequently. The quizzes are how I keep sort of my finger on the pulse of the class to see how things are going. It's very important that with the online homework, that's all graded sort of like by the system. I don't see the process of that being graded. So it's important that I am personally grading things so that I get a sense of where we're at, what we think, how we're feeling about certain problems, certain topics. So we'll be doing a lot of that. The quizzes also make really excellent like pre-test sort of metrics. So if you take a quiz and you do really terribly, that's okay. That's not a huge problem. The quizzes, there's going to be a lot, each individual quiz is not worth a huge part of your grade. And at the end of the semester, I will drop the lowest quiz score. So if you bomb one, don't worry about it. Just make sure that before you take the test, you have mastered that material, because the big secret is I'm not a very creative person. So the kinds of questions I put on quizzes are pretty similar to the kinds of questions that I put on tests. So if you are doing a quiz and it goes very poorly, that is your signal that you need to study that particular material harder when you take the test. All the quizzes and tests are going to be open note, open book, open pretty much everything. I want to discourage you from using calculators, but I have no meaningful way of enforcing that, except to say that I'm expecting you to show all of your work all of the time. Some of the questions on the tests and quizzes are things that you could conceivably just type into a Google search bar and have the internet answer for you. If you do that, I'm not giving you points. I need to see the work that goes into each step of the process. So I'm grading the work, I'm not grading the final answer. So show all of your work. And then the quizzes that we take, and like after we take a quiz, we'll go over the quiz in great detail. Those will become part of your notes that I sort of expect you to use effectively on your test. So that's how all that's going to work. We'll do the tests and quizzes during our scheduled class times. I will email you PDF documents that are the test or the quiz. If you have a printer, you can print them out. If you don't have a printer, that's fine. I don't care. Leave the PDF like open on your phone or your computer or whatever device you're using to connect to the conference. Just have it open. Write down the questions from the quiz on a piece of paper. Write down all of your answers and all of your work and all of your steps. When you have finished or when time is up, these are going to be timed sort of vaguely. When you're finished or when time is up, take a photograph of all of your work and all of your answers. Email me that photograph. I will grade what you send me. That's how we're going to do tests and quizzes. Those things will happen during our class time. So there's all that. And the other thing that we'll be doing during class time when we're not taking tests and quizzes is going over homework questions. So after you have watched some videos like this, some of the Dave Does Math from Home videos where I talk about the different topics, different concepts, do some examples. After you've watched those videos, I want you to try the homework for that section. I don't need you to finish the homework. I just want you to try the homework. The next time we meet as a class, you will have an opportunity to ask me any questions you want about that homework assignment. And I will answer those questions very thoroughly. If you say, Dave, I don't know how to do number 8, I will pull up your version of number 8 and I will do the entire problem start to finish and give you the answer to number 8. Please ask me questions. This is a huge resource. It's a huge part of learning. A lot of these online conferences start with me saying, I want to answer some questions, and students going, none of us did the homework, none of us have questions, and me going, what a colossal waste of time. Don't do that. I am prepared to give you all of the answers to homework questions. Do not waste this resource. So try the homework, see what's easy, do the easy ones, figure out what's hard, ask me about the hard ones in our conference. I will do them start to finish. I will be very happy to do that. Don't waste that. So that's what's going to happen in class. What else do I need to talk about? The class schedule this year is a little crazy. There are reasons for it that I don't need to get into, but the short version is someone in the scheduling department sort of screwed up kind of severely, and I have about half as much time as I wanted to in conferences. So last semester I was meeting about twice a week with each class. This semester, some of our classes only meet once a week. If you're in algebra or pre-calculus, I'm only going to have a conference with you once a week. And that conference is going to be a long one, which honestly feels like kind of a terrible schedule. It's going to be very hard to keep up with this, but I'm expecting you to do your best to try to keep up with this as much as possible. In between our once a week meetings, I'm going to need you to be watching multiple sections worth of videos and doing multiple sections worth of homework so that we can talk about multiple sections all at once. It's the only way we're going to get through this. If I meet with you once a week for 14 weeks, if we only cover one section each week, then we only get 14 sections, and that's not nearly enough. And you have to take away the weeks when we're doing tests. You're going to have to move through this material very quickly. Multiple sections a week, yeah, it's got to be. If you want to meet with me more often than once a week, the good news is the ASC works really, really well remotely. So all of you should be enrolled in an ASC course on Canvas. You can go there and go to the chat. On the sidebar in Canvas, there's a chat. All of us tutors will be hanging out in the chat, waiting very patiently for someone to ask us for help. And when someone does come in and ask us for help, we will create a private conference just for you where we will answer all of your questions. So that's what we're going to do when you need to meet with us more than once a week. So I'm going to encourage you to use that service. I'm going to encourage you to use that service so strongly that coming to find me in the ASC is going to be your entire first quiz, which is worth an entire quiz grade. Please just find me in the ASC. It's free points. I don't have my particular ASC schedule yet, so as soon as I get that, I will let you know what that is, and you can find me there. In the meantime, don't put off all your math stuff for the night before we meet. That's not going to allow you to do multiple sections a week. This is a lot of personal responsibility for you, and that's sort of the double-edged sword of online learning. You have to be very proactive about it, and that's the expectation. I need you to be watching these videos and working on the homework throughout the week so that by the time we have our once-a-week meeting, you're on top of it. If you happen to be in Calc 1 or Calc 2, then I'm probably meeting with you twice a week, and this is less important. But Calc 1 meets on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Who decided that was a good idea? You have 6 days in between one set of meetings and 22 hours in between the other set of meetings. This is very silly. Work throughout the week on your math, no matter what class you're in. That's the takeaway here. Last thing I need to tell you about in this video is if you need accommodations or you want accommodations or you think you might benefit from certain accommodations, I definitely want you to talk to Sally Heckel or talk to myself. I am very, very proud of how accommodating in general BFIT is and has always been. So that's very important to me. Just let me know. We'll figure it out. Don't waste that opportunity either if you think you might benefit from it. That's it for this video, the introduction video. I'll see you in the next math video.